Hi, welcome to Real English Lab, where learning English is fun and simple. Let's dive in.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Meetings. Those oh-so-fun things that just seem to pop up on our calendars.
Yeah, they do, don't they just?
Today, we're diving into some materials you guys sent over about feeling more comfortable and prepared for participating in meetings when English maybe isn't your first language.
Right, right.
I know even for me sometimes, especially when I'm with, a group of people who know a topic better than me, it could feel intimidating sometimes just to speak up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of get your voice in there.
So luckily, you sent over this awesome compilation of phrases broken down by different stages of a meeting that can help all of us um, feel more empowered to participate.
I think that structure is really what makes this so useful.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for someone who's maybe newer to English or just newer to the whole meeting culture in English, to have that kind of framework, right? Like, okay, these are the phrases I can use at the beginning.
At the beginning,
in the middle, at the end.
Exactly.
That gives you that kind of roadmap.
And that's such a good point because, I think sometimes when we're learning a new language, we can get so focused on the vocabulary that we forget about the bigger picture, right? Like how the words fit together.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, having all the ingredients but not the recipe.
Yeah. You need to know how to use those words effectively in a given situation.
And this source actually does a great job of not only giving us the phrases, but also talking about some of the nonverbal cues, things like tone of voice and body language, because those are important too. Maybe even more so when there's a language barrier. Like if you're saying, I disagree, but you're smiling and nodding your head, that sends a very different message than if you're, furrowing your brow.
Exactly. Right. It's all about congruence.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some of the specific phrases that you guys provided. One that really stood out to me was, can you elaborate on that point a bit more? I think we've all been in situations where maybe we didn't want to admit that we didn't understand something,
Absolutely.
We just kind of nod along like we got it. But this phrase, it's such a polite and professional way to ask for clarification.
Yeah, and it shows you're engaged too, right? You're not just passively listening, you're actively trying to understand.
Totally. And then there was another one that I thought was really useful for disagreeing without sounding, too confrontational, which was, I appreciate your input, but I have a slightly different perspective.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And, that brings up an important point about cultural differences, because in some cultures, being really direct is seen as rude, right? So even if you completely disagree with someone, it's important to phrase it in a way that's respectful and considerate.
Absolutely. And this phrase does that perfectly. Like you're acknowledging their viewpoint, but you're also asserting your own.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice balance.
And I think it's worth mentioning that even if you're comfortable with the language, meetings can still be nerve-wracking, right?
Yeah. For sure.
So having these phrases kind of in your back pocket can just give you that extra boost of confidence.
Definitely. Like it takes away some of the pressure of having to come up with the perfect thing to say on the spot.
Exactly.
And, thinking about those of you listening who are maybe newer to English or feeling a little hesitant to speak up in meetings, I think this material is a great starting point.
Yeah, it is. And I'd encourage you to really practice these phrases out loud, maybe even role play a meeting scenario with a friend or colleague.
Yeah, because the more you practice, the more natural it will become.
Exactly.
And, another thing that the source mentions that I think is really helpful is to not be afraid to ask for feedback.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, because sometimes we might think we're communicating clearly, but maybe our pronunciation isn't quite right or our grammar is a little off.
Yeah, and that's totally normal. Everyone makes mistakes when they're learning a new language. The important thing is to be open to learning and improving.
Right. And, sometimes just that little bit of feedback can make a huge difference in your confidence and your ability to communicate effectively.
Absolutely.
So I think we've covered a lot of really great information today. And I hope this deep dive has given you some practical tools and some inspiration to feel more confident and prepared for participating in English meetings.
Yeah, I think we hit a lot of good points.
And, even if you're a native English speaker, these phrases can still be really useful.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we all have those moments where we're struggling to find the right words or we're feeling a little intimidated.
Yeah, everyone. So don't feel like you're alone in that.
Exactly. And remember, meetings are all about communication, right? So whether you're sharing your ideas, asking questions, or just actively listening, the important thing is to be present and engaged
And to remember that everyone in that room, regardless of their language background, is there to contribute and collaborate. So don't be afraid to speak up and share your unique perspective.
That's such a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you found it helpful, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you next time. If you want more series, leave a comment and let us know.